which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. All city council members are present. On the wall is the Open Meetings Act. It's posted there and is accessible to members of the public. First thing we have tonight is a proclamation for Autism Acceptance Month. And it reads, whereas anyone can be affected by autism regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic status, or geography, and children and adults with autism are our family members, friends, neighbors, co-workers, and students. And whereas autism affects 1 in 36 people worldwide, impeding communication and social interaction, and whereas each individual with autism carries a unique diagnosis across the spectrum and has distinctive skills, characteristics, and qualities. And whereas the aim of Autism Acceptance Month is to recognize the diverse nature and abilities of people with autism, to encourage support through family, friends, professionals, and community that will allow a broader understanding and appreciation of those individuals. And whereas the City of Beatrice wishes to acknowledge the need to support, understand, accept, include, and empower people on the autism spectrum. Now therefore, I, Robert Morgan, Mayor of the City of Beatrice, Nebraska, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Autism Acceptance Month in the City of Beatrice and encourage our citizens to learn more about the unique perspectives of individuals with autism and support them, their families, and their healthcare providers. Witness my hand in the official seal of the City of Beatrice this 7th day of April 2025. And I believe this goes to Mr. Fairbanks.
Thanks for doing that.
You betcha.
I really appreciate it. Wow, no problem.
That I can.
Oh, let's do that.
Being lazy.
All right.
Thanks. Gonna get on my.
Could have dressed a little better.
Yeah, I probably should have. Yeah, Bob showed
Okay,
me
we'll
that.
move on to the consent
Bob,
agenda.
let me get on my soapbox just a little bit about
Not a
it.
problem.
I really appreciate Mayor Morgan doing this. He does it every year for me. If people in the community aren't aware, I ask for this every year. We have my wife Julie and I have a grandson, Cooper, who's now 13. He's on the spectrum. What a unique young man. I used to say kid, but now he's a young man. We've adapted this to include acceptance. It used to be awareness, but I think acceptance is far more important. There's a young man named Trevor Pacelli. I probably butchered his name, but he's an author and an illustrator, and he's on the spectrum. And I have a little quote here from him. He says, "Children with autism are very observant. They will notice everything, including your attitude towards them." So keep that in mind when you're dealing or coming in contact with people on the spectrum. There's so much disinformation about people on the spectrum out there in today's society, and I just want to remind you that they've been around you all your lives. So they're just more. There's more testing. There's more awareness. There's people that are being tested as adults and finding out they're on the spectrum. There's a good article. He's a city manager in a small town in Iowa, and he's 37 years old, and he found out that through the testing that he's on the spectrum, and they're adjusting things there. So when I'm in my late 60s, so the kids that you knew growing up that were quiet, that were shy, that didn't make eye contact, that seemed a little different, seemed a little odd, those people were most probably on the spectrum and still are. We just didn't know what to call it then. So be kind, be aware, and accept all of them. So that's all I got. Thanks so much.
I also have a great grandson that's autistic, and he's a real neat little 4-year-old guy.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, all items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of the regular meeting on March 17th, 2025, as on file by the city clerk's office. Item E, approval of treasurer report of claims in the amount of $299,496.90. Item F, approval of the Boswell report of claims in the amount of $25,843.33. Item G is resolution number 7524, ratifying all actions taken by the mayor and the city council for the meetings held on February 18th, 2025, due to the publication issues of the meeting notice due to cybersecurity issue with the Beatrice Daily Sun. Item H, resolution number 7525, granting permission to Kevin Kramer, doing business as Pappy's Camels, permission to sell or offer for sale or peddle goods, wares, or merchandise at the skate park periodically between May 1st, 2025 and terminating on October 31st, 2025 for camel rides. Item I, resolution number 7526, executing the agreement between the city and Kidwell to install data cables at the Beatrice Public Library. Item J, resolution number 7527, granting permission to Tall Tree Tasting LLC to serve alcoholic beverages in the Beatrice Public Library on Wednesday, April 30th, 2025, from 5 to 10 for the Wizard of Oz Night event. Item K, resolution number 7528, executing the subscription service agreement and any and all other documents necessary with QT Pod to provide the services and support for the operation of the city's self-serve fuel kiosk located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item L, resolution number 7529, executing the fixed base aerial applicators agreement with Hanna Brothers Agri-Service Incorporated for the purpose of conducting aerial applicator or crop spraying services on the Beatrice Municipal Airport's airfield. Item M, resolution number 7530, executing the operator's lease and service agreement with Hanna Brothers Agri-Service Incorporated for the purpose of conducting aeronautical services on the Beatrice Municipal Airport airfield. Item N, resolution number 7531, entering into an agreement with Vogt Parga Construction LLC to construct a new T-hangar, upgrade taxi lanes, and reconstruct a hangar approach at the Beatrice Municipal Airport, subject to and contingent upon FAA concurrence in award of said bid and the offer of a federal grant if such concurrence and offer have not been received prior to April 7th, 2025. And item O, resolution number 7532, executing the agreement between the city and Omaha Public Power District to reimburse the city for labor and material costs related to the services provided to the city to OPPD for storm restoration support during the March 3rd through 5th, 2025 storm event. Does anybody want to pull off or a clarification on any item?
Can I just ask a question? Tobias said I could without actually having to pull it off. Can you explain N a little bit, Tobias, please?
Yeah, so item N is the contract with Vogt Parga Construction out at the airfield. If everybody recalls, this is the new hangar project that we've been working on out the airport. We had an engineer's estimate of just a shy over $3 million on this project. Benish is our engineers on this particular project. They received back 4 bids. The low bid was Lotman. However, because it's a federal grant, there are some federal requirements that need to be met, and one of them is a disadvantaged business enterprise. So you have to have a certain percentage of DBE contractors that you use or that you say you will try to utilize as part of your project. Lotman did not provide that type of paperwork back as part of their bid, and so that's why they're deemed as being non-responsive. And so the next low bid was Vogt Parga at $2.24 million. They are currently doing the taxiway project. Well, they have the contract to do the taxiway project. They're supposed to start here in about 3 weeks. Out there already. And so then when you add on engineering fees of roughly $500,000, you get to about $2.75 million for the project. And this was the item that Senator Fisher gave us a congressional appropriation for about $2.85 million about 18 months ago. And so the city's share because we can't use all of her money. It has to be like a 90-10 split. By the time we're all done, the city share will be roughly about $100,000. Should be a little less than that.
Thank you.
Anybody want anything pulled off? Seeing none, Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
And your vote, please.
Barnard,
Gary.
you still got a no. I don't, if you're going that way, it's okay.
And that passes 8-0.
That do it
Yep.
for that?
Okay, we move on to public hearings and bids. Public hearings on the acquisition of real property from Hoppe Sons LLC, legally described as follows. All of lots 23 and 24 South Beatrice, in addition to the City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska, partial number ID number 0144190000.
So this is part of Stoddard School. If everybody recalls, a couple months ago, we transferred the Stoddard School building itself and the 8 or 10 lots that it sits on to Hoppe for $1 for them to proceed with their senior housing project. We've been working with, and we've always talked about adding a playground back at Stoddard School. When we received the RCRP grant, we were able to talk to DED into allowing us to use those funds to put a playground back here. One of their stipulations was they want the city to own where the playground goes. And so that's why Hoppe is deeding back to us lots 23 and 24, which are essentially exactly where the playground sits today, or previously, I should say. And so they'll deed us back those 2 lots for $1. And we will proceed with the RCRP grant to put a playground there.
They got more ground for $1. They should have sold this back for like 50 cents or something.
Any other comments from the council, from the public?
Jane Nider, 398 South 25th. I just have a question. I didn't realize that that development was senior housing. Can you
Yeah.
explain that?
Yes.
Yes, so it'll be a senior housing project is what they're looking at there for Stoddard School itself, which means I believe it's age 55 and older. It might be 50, but that'll be the age restrictions there. Similar to the same program that where the old hospital site was located up around 10th and Arthur Street, up in that location. Those are all considered senior housing as well. So as part of their grant obligations, they have to restrict it to individuals over that certain age limit.
So is it rent restricted too, or just has nothing to do with the rent, the fact that it's senior housing?
On that particular project, I'm trying to think if it's rent restricted or not.
I think they have to have some sort of.
Probably some sort of,
restriction. Yeah.
there's probably some sort of rent restriction on it. I can't tell you exactly what the amount is.
Is that the same at Lincoln then, the site of Lincoln School?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Tobias,
Thank you.
before she runs off, why don't you explain what's going to be there, the 25 things that they're all out on the outside? Why don't you give her a little information, because you're
Sure.
giving it to the public now.
Sure. So at Stoddard School, what Hoppe has shown us as their plan is to basically gut the entire inside of that building and come back with, I believe, 25 apartments inside the existing school footprint. Each one of those apartments will exit to the exterior of the building. So there's, right now, their initial design we've seen does not show an interior corridor, but exiting outside of the building. And then there'll be a parking lot on the south side of the existing building. There's a parking lot there today, but they'll extend that one all the way through. But that would be the parking lot for the facility.
Okay, thank you.
And Lincoln School is going to be single family,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else for discussions, comments, concerns? All right.
I move the public hearing be closed at 6:16 p.m.
Second.
Your vote, please. That passes 8-0. All right. Might feel like some of this is Hoppe and Sons time for resolutions, but we'll move on to number 4, resolution number 7533, executing a contract for sale of real estate and all necessary documents to acquire all real estate for Hoppe and Sons LLC, legally described as follows. all of lots 23 and 24 South Beatrice in addition to the City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska, parcel number 0144190000.
I move that resolution number 7533 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So this is a resolution for the contract we just discussed, which is the transfer of those 2 lots at Stoddard School for the playground.
Any more discussion needed from the public or up here? If not, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. All right, we'll move on to resolution number 7534, execute an agreement with Hanna, Keelan Associates, PC, for professional service to conduct a blight and substandard determination study and general redevelopment plan.
I move the resolution number 7534 be passed and adopted.
Second.
As we discussed, there is a housing project that is looking at developing south of South 19th Street, it would be down by the YMCA, south of the Good Samaritan Center. One of the items that they would want for that project to move forward is TIF. In order to do tax increment financing, you have to have it designated as a blight and substandard area. And so the first step is to hire Hanna Keelan to come in and do that blight and substandard study. As you see in your packet there, what they're proposing is $9,500. I believe they say 55 days to get the study done. And so once they're completed, it'll come back to you for review and approval. That then would open up tax increment financing for that district. Again, would be redevelopment area number 13.
Discussion from the public. Seeing none, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Item C, resolution number 7535, executing a subordination agreement to subordinate the security interests of the city to the Liberty First Credit Union for the CDBG owner-occupied rehabilitation grant number 21-HO-36035, loan for the project number 026 with Eric Hudson and Pamela Hudson.
I move the resolution number 7535 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So this is part of our owner-occupied rehab grant that we talked about here for some time. If you recall, those were the grant opportunities that came up before us for people to make improvements to their house. Again, owner-occupied, they had to meet certain income guidelines, that kind of stuff. Obviously, we did not know where the houses were at. We didn't know who obtained those particular grant opportunities, but we set them up as forgivable loans because they had to remember keep the improvements for 5 years, and doing that, then the loan is forgiven. Considering the fact that most of the improvements were new roofs, new siding, new windows, that kind of stuff, it's hard to imagine that somebody would not keep those for 5 years, but that's why we had to set this up. One of the such residents obviously was for the Hudsons. We put down a deed of trust as a security for that forgivable loan, and they now have done some different financing on their house, and their bank has asked us to subordinate our lien to theirs as they actually loaned them money for whatever purpose that they took and on to. And so generally, we've done this before with other grant opportunities, and so what we prepared before you tonight is a subordination agreement allowing the city's lien to become second or secondary to the banks in this particular property.
Discussion on the public. Seeing none, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Resolution number 7536, adopting the concerted community revitalization plan.
I move the resolution number 7536 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So as part of the housing project that we're working on with Excel Development, they're looking to get some grant funding. As part of that grant funding, it's competitive. And one of the things that they can score additional points for is if we have a concerted or community revitalization plan. And so we drafted one. If you've had the opportunity to read it, you'll say that it doesn't say a whole lot, but it's required to have one adopted. It basically supposedly sets out some goals and some implementation partners, and so how we can do some funding for some housing projects in town. You'll notice it talks about qualified census tracts. Again, we have one that's completely inside the community, that's through the downtown, and then circles back along Scott Street there towards the water park and back towards the YMCA. It talks about affordable housing and workforce housing, kind of defines those terms. Talks about who can be partners with us, some investment tools. Those are the same things we always talk about: TIF, LB 840 funds, NIFA funds, rural workforce housing. Those types of things are all seen out there as possible funding sources. Now, nothing in here requires the city to do anything, but lays out some ideas that we could try. And then ultimately, it cuts and pastes quite a few of the different graphs and statistics out of the housing study that was done by Engage in 2020.
Discussion.
Maybe just a comment that when you do read it, there's a lot of this that we've already done. You know, well, I mean, it's 5 years old, but everything, including housing downtown, I mean, there's just, not me because I wasn't on it, but the council before us and the mayor and whatever has done a pretty good job of meeting a lot of this housing study already. You guys have done a good job on that. So just a comment.
Thank you. From the public. Seeing none, your vote, please. Passes 8-0. All right, we'll move on to ordinances. Ordinance authorizing the issuance by the City of Beatrice, Nebraska of its combined utilities revenue bond, Series 2025, an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $5 million as recommended by the Board of Public Works.
I move that said ordinance be given number 25-11, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Ordinance number 25-11 by number only the first time, 25-11 the second, and 25-11 the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 25-11 be passed and approved.
Second.
Yes, we did this before. This was that February meeting. Remember, we moved from Monday to Tuesday. That was the one where the Daily Sun had some issues and were unable to post notice. And because of that, our bond counsel has asked us to re-ratify this particular ordinance. Nothing has changed in there. It's still the same $5 million mark. Everything else is the exact same as we've talked about previously. It just, they would like us to re-ratify it just due to the fact of some publication issues that were outside of our control.
Any discussion needed from the public? All right, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Now move on to ordinance conveying real estate owned by the city to Hoppe Sons LLC, legally described as follows. All of lots 139 through 150 in the vacated alley South Beatrice, in addition to the City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska, parcel number 014478000.
I move that said ordinance be given number 25-12, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please. And that passes 7-1. Number 25-12 by number only the first time, 25-12 the second, and 25-12 the third and final time.
Move that ordinance number 25-12 be passed and approved.
Second.
So this ordinance has to do with the south side of Stoddard School. So earlier tonight, we talked about the north side of Stoddard School, where the school building itself exists. We sold that to Hoppe, as we indicated earlier. This is the south side of Stoddard School, so this would be Ames Street South. What the proposal here is that we sell this to Hoppe also for $1. They are applying for grant funding to do a housing project there. We need about 45 housing units. If they're successful in their grant funding, would be erected at this location. Your sale to them is contingent upon them getting their grant funds. They make an application in early May, so just about a month from now, their application is due. They should know by, I think, August, September, somewhere in there is usually when they find out whether or not they were awarded the grant. And so that's what you have going on with this one.
And if they're awarded the grant, their construction timeline is what?
I would anticipate that if they're awarded the grant, again, hopefully break ground by the following, a year from now, so spring of 26 would be what I would anticipate, and then you would see construction through 26. That type of project, they should get it wrapped up before the winter of 26.
Okay.
And what type of housing? This is affordable or low income?
This would be affordable housing.
So that's where I think, because you had said something about you didn't realize it was senior. This is the section from Stoddard that then would be low income or affordable. I think they use affordable now.
Affordable.
Yes.
And so 2 things to note here. One, affordable housing is 30% to 80% of an area median income is what you're looking at. And looking at the data for Gage County, for a single person, that'd be between $18,500 up to $49,200. That's considered in that 30 to 80% range. And then they have different numbers all the way up to 8 people in your household. So the numbers vary from there. Second, you may ask why when we buy property, what we do is different steps when we sell property. State statute has different rules if we're buying or selling. And so that's why sometimes you have ordinances and sometimes you have resolutions and sometimes you have both. Sometimes we have public hearings. It's all set by state statute as to which one we're doing.
And one more thing, Bob, if you, I know it's not debatable about whether we suspend the rules, but I continue to be a bit frustrated that we insist on doing everything in one meeting. I do know there are people out there that are against affordable housing and us expanding that. I'm related to one of them. And unless you are really paying close attention, you do not know that we are talking about this tonight. So I would really like at some point us to say things that people in the community may have an opinion about, that we give them a couple weeks to contact us or to come to a meeting, maybe even. I'm not against this. I actually think this is a good use for that parcel or that area, maybe I should say, but we really are not giving the public any time at all to contact us.
Any other discussion from the public? Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Ordinance, next item C on ordinances is conveying real property owned by the city of Hoppe and Sons LLC, legally described as the follows. The south 3 feet 8 inches of the vacated alleys abutting the east half of Lot 11 and all of Lot 12, Block 49, original town, now City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move that said ordinance be given number 25-13, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
To take action tonight, rules are if no action, to suspend the rules is not debatable. Just do that. And that passes 8-0. Ordinance number 25-13 by number only the first time, 25-13 the second, and 25-13 the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 25-13 be passed and approved.
Second.
All right, so this is the one that may have confused the most people. Somehow in the 1880s, and for some reason, the city of Beatrice vacated the south 3 feet 8 inches of the alley that runs between 5th and 6th, Court and Ella. So on the north side of the Kensington building, we vacated a 3 foot 8 inch strip of ground the entire length of the block. Don't know why. If you look, 3 feet 8 inches is about the width of a fire escape. Don't know if that was the reason back then. But Hoppe, in their title search, came up with this. And we can't find that this vacated portion was ever deeded to anybody else, which would lead us to believe that we still own it. So Hoppe has asked if we will sell them the 3 feet 8 inches for $1 again. We will retain a utility easement over that period there. So, because if you look, there's a power pole sitting there, so we've got a light pole already there. But I don't know if this was old coal chutes. I don't know if this was the fire escape. The gas comes in on the backside there. I don't know what was going on in the 1880s. Unfortunately, I was not around at that time.
Well, I want to think it's a hitching post and a water trough. That just makes it more fun.
Could be, but this will not impact the alleyway itself. The alleyway will still be a full alley, just like it's operated for the last 100 years, as everybody knew it. I know the alley's currently closed, but that's because they're doing their construction. They've got, their dumpsters in there so they can do their work. But once Hoppe is done in that area, the alleyway will be back open for traffic. And quite honestly, nobody will know the difference other than those paying attention to this meeting.
And again, going all the way back to 1887, nobody's ever had a record of conveying this alley. And somebody found it in 2025.
Too bad that's not what happened to Dempster's, huh?
Discussion. Any more needed up here from the public? Your vote, please. 2513 passes 8-0. Resolution number 7537, executing a contract for sale of real estate and all necessary documents with Hoppe Son LLC, legally described as follows. All of Lot 139 through 150 and the vacated alley, South Beatrice, in addition to the City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska parcel number 014478000.
I move that resolution number 7537 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So this is a resolution that authorizes the mayor to sign the contract so that we would sell the south side of Hoppe School area to Hoppe for the $1 contingent upon them receiving their grant funding.
Any more discussion up here from the public? Then your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Resolution number 7538, executing a contract for sale of real estate and all necessary documents with Hoppe and Sons LLC, legally described as follows. The south 3 feet 8 inches of the vacated alley abutting the east half of Lot 11, all of Lot 12, Block 49, original town, now City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move that resolution number 7538 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Same thing, authorizes the mayor to sign the contract regards to the vacated alley, portion of the alley we just talked about. If you're wondering why it's always $1, because you have to have some type of consideration, and it seems weird to put love and affection on city type of deeds, and so we always go with $1.
Any more discussion needed up here from the public? Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. We'll move on to public forum. The purpose of the public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public for the council to consider. All discussion or action will be taken, no discussion and action will be taken by the city council at this time. Anyone here for the public forum?
Jane Niter, 398 South 25th. I have some questions regarding Crest Villas, which are now under construction there on either 26th or 25th, whatever it's going to be. As you remember, you passed a no parking ordinance or law, whatever there on Scott Street, and the signs aren't up yet. So I think it would be a good idea to put the no parking signs up before they start renting the villas. This is just a little thing, but the black plastic that's supposed to separate the walking trail from the construction site is attached to a bunch of steel posts, and that all got ripped and blown up when we had that strong wind. So I'm wondering if that's going to be replaced, because right now it looks pretty bad. And then and you partially answered this, I guess, but people are always asking me, is that low-cost housing? Is that senior housing, or what is it? And I always say with great authority that no, it's market rate housing. So I'm wondering, is it still market rate housing? Or is it affordable housing, or is it workforce housing? So that's one of my questions about that. Then they have started putting in the water main. There's going to be some construction there on Scott Street for a week or so. And it's my understanding that the city is going to maintain that street. Do you know yet whether it's going to be 26th or 25th? Because at one end it's 25th and at the other end it's 26th. So it's my understanding that the city will maintain that. And I also understand that the city maintains 25th Street after Quail Ridge Circle. So I think it's time for the city council to again consider taking over 25th Street as it passes through Flowing Springs That's been out there 20 years. People have been paying taxes for 20 years. And we've asked many times to have the city take over that street. There's a lot of taxes come into the city from Flowing Springs, and the seniors who live out there are a real asset to your community. They shop here, they support the arts, they support the churches, and so I'd like you to start considering that. I think it's time. The HOA needs some help. So that's my other comment.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public forum? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to discussions and reports. Yes. And we'll have a report from the Beatrice Community Food Pantry update.
Hi, Kathy Hayden, 430 North 7th here in Beatrice. And after talking with my board, we just kind of thought it would be a good idea to come down and thank you guys for allowing us to move into the facility where we are, and the fact that we don't pay rent or utilities, that the city takes care of that for us, is such a blessing, and it allows us to serve so many more clients. And we just kind of thought that it would be great for you guys to know how much that is appreciated, by the pantry. And I also had a graph.
Handouts.
Just so you could kind of see how many people are truly affected by, this added generosity of our no rent and no utilities. But for last year, we served 5,107 people. So that's quite a few people. It was 157 households on average per month, and new clients were averaged about 28 per month for last year. But we are getting new clients all the time. We have a little bit of lull right now, but as you see, kind of with the March and April of last year, there was a little bit of lull in the clients, just because I think with tax refunds, things like that, they don't utilize our services as much during those couple of months, but then it seems to pick back up and really goes gung-ho in that November and December. And we have 65 volunteers that help run this place with me, and they are like the backbone of this facility. I know Mike said he came in, I missed you the other day because I went to watch my kid run track, but I walked into this in January taking over, and I couldn't have done it without the volunteers. I mean, they are amazing. Whatever I need them to do, they take care of that for us. We have 16 board members. We also got really lucky here. The State Department contacted me, and we were able to get a Spanish-speaking gal named Margie Potter, who had been volunteering there, but getting her to work for us through the state, and the state pays her, and it doesn't cost the pantry at all. And we were able to have somebody that can speak Spanish for us and handle all of our Spanish-speaking clientele, and she's been a godsend. So that was something that kind of came about, but just really wanted to let you know that we still couldn't survive without the help that you guys have given us, and what I get from my volunteers, and the support we get from the community through donations in the churches and our youth groups and everything. So thank you. And I also want to invite you to come on down, anytime that you'd like to come on down and see how things run. We'd love to have you come on down and give us a visit. So, any questions?
I guess I'd just like to compliment you on how well a job you guys do. I mean, it's so well run. I was impressed. It's very efficient, how you handle it, very professional. You do a great, great job.
Thank you. Like I said, I can't take a lot of credit for that. I walked into something that was running really well when I walked into it. So it's made it very easy, and I couldn't do it without my board and without the volunteers. So it's a great thing.
Go ahead and take credit for it, Kath. It's all right.
Thank you.
So Angie Essom, that I met, that all of you've met, I'm sure. She would have been here, except she's ill. So we don't get this many chances to thank everybody publicly. So And you served as the director for 2 years, and as Kath just said, she just started a couple of months ago. She doesn't know what she got into yet, I don't think for sure. But we really want to thank all of you, councilmen and the mayor, for allowing us to do that. It's a substantial savings, and you can see we're hitting a lot of people, 5,000-6,000 a year, and it's a huge business. It's a 6-figure budget that we have to run that place every single year. And it's just a scheduling problem with 65 volunteers, as you can imagine, and then she's got to wrestle with more board members than Bob Morgan's got to wrestle with around this table every month, which is a tough job. So thank you to the churches. I want to miss somebody. Thank you to the individuals. Thank you to the organizations. Thank you to the volunteers. Thank you to all those people that helped that place run, because it's ran pretty well. Not because of me or Michael, but well, we're both on the board. I probably should have mentioned, so you have representation pretty well around this table. But those people make that thing run, and it's run very well. And Kathy, thank you very much for stepping up and taking this position. This is not an 8 to 5 job. This is 24/7, 7 days a week, and you got to have your heart in it, because we can't afford to pay her what she's worth. That's for sure. So thank you again publicly. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Bob, for putting it on the agenda. I appreciate that too.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. The next regular city council meeting is April 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the BPS Administrative Building Boardroom right here. And we'll make a motion for adjournment.
I move the meeting be adjourned at 6:44 p.m.
Second.
Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0.